Now I'm introducing the quantifiers to you. They are special elements of REGEX that we use to indicate many occurrences of a pattern. So firstly, we have the plus symbol. That means one or more occurrences of the character before it. So let me give you an example. A and the plus symbol. This pattern will match one or more occurrences of the character A. So one occurrence is a valid match. Two occurrences is a valid match too. 1, 2, 3, 4 occurrences is a valid match. This whole substring is a match because this pattern tells us that we are going to match any substring that has one or more occurrences of the character A. Let me delete this to show you another example. Imagine that we have ABC and the plus symbol. This pattern is telling us that we are going to match any substring that starts with AB and is followed by one or more occurrences of the character C. So this, for example, is a match. This is a match too, because again, we're matching any substring that starts with AB, so both of them start with AB, and is followed by one or more occurrences of the character C. So one or more occurrences of the character C. Another good example of this would be, for example, the char set A to Z, so all lowercase letters, the plus symbol, and AB. This will match any substring that has one or more lowercase letters at the beginning and is followed by AB. So this is a valid match because, again, in this substring we have the pattern that we specified in the regular expression, that is one or more occurrences of a lowercase letter that is followed by AB. So here we have one or more occurrences of any lowercase letter followed by AB. So this is the plus symbol quantifier. Pretty simple, isn't it? So let's see the next one. So the next quantifier has this form: open and closing curly brackets, and inside it we are going to specify a number, an X. And this pattern right here will match exactly X occurrences of the character before it. So imagine that X is 4, and we have the character Z, an uppercase Z. This pattern will match exactly 4 occurrences of the uppercase letter Z. This is the only substring that will match this pattern. This is the basic use of this quantifier. Let's see another example. Imagine that we have the word hello, all in uppercase letters, and we have this quantifier, the open and closing curly braces, and with a number 5 inside it. So what does this pattern mean? We are telling that we are going to match a substring that starts with hell and is followed by 5 O's after it. So this is what we mean by that regular expression. This is the substring that is going to match this pattern. We can also specify a second number in this quantifier right here, and that will slightly change its meaning. This is what I mean. If I add, I can put a comma and specify another number right here, for example 8. This quantifier is indicating minimum 5 and maximum 8 occurrences of the character before it. So if I have 5 O's, we are going to match. If we have 6 O's, we are going to match. If we have 7 O's, we are going to match. If we have 8 O's, we are going to match. But if we have 9 O's, we are not going to match anymore. Okay? Let's see another example. Imagine that we have a char set that specifies all the digits, and we put this quantifier after it, and we say that we want minimum 9 occurrences of any number and maximum 12. So if we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 9, this is a match, you know. If we have 8, we don't have a match. We have to have at least 9 occurrences of any number to have a match, but we can have up to 12 occurrences to this substring be considered a match. So 9, 10, 11, 12. This is a valid match, but if we add the 13th number, this is not going to be a match anymore, okay? And one last characteristic of this quantifier that I want to talk about is, if we don't specify a second number on this quantifier after putting a comma, this pattern will match minimum 9 occurrences of the character before it. But we don't put a limit, you know? We just put a minimum amount of occurrences, and we don't put a limit to it, you know? So we are going to match at least 9 occurrences of any number, at least 9, and that's it. We can continue to add any amount of numbers that we are going to match. Let's see another example of this. Imagine that we have a char set that specifies any lowercase letter, any uppercase letter, and all the digits. And we have this quantifier with minimum 5 occurrences of any of the characters inside this list, and we don't put a limit to it. So as long as we have minimum 5 occurrences of any character inside this list, we are going to have a match. It doesn't matter how many there are, as long as we have 5 occurrences minimum. So this is a valid match because we have at least 5 of the characters in this list. But we don't put a limit to it, so we can continue to put numbers, upper and lowercase letters that we are continue to be matching the pattern. But if we put a character that is not in that list, for example $, we are not going to match after it, you know? So the next quantifier we'll be learning is the star symbol. It is almost the same as the plus quantifier that indicates 1 or more occurrences, but the star symbol differs from it because it indicates 0 or more occurrences of the char before it. So let's see a basic example. Imagine that we have the uppercase letter F followed by the quantifier star. This pattern will match 0 or more occurrences of the uppercase letter F. So 0 or more occurrences of the uppercase letter F is going to match. It doesn't matter how many there are, because we are going to match 0 or more occurrences of this character. Let's see a better example. Imagine that we have the word house followed by the star symbol. So all the quantifiers always apply to the character before it. So this quantifier star symbol is being applied to the E letter, the last letter of this word, you know. So this pattern is going to match the word house, you know. This is a valid match because the quantifier indicates 0 or more occurrences of the letter E. This is a valid match because 0 occurrences are also valid. If we put one letter E, this is going to be matching. If we put another E, this is going to match too. Another, and so on, you know, because this quantifier matches 0 or more occurrences of the character before it. Another example would be, imagine that we have a char set from A to Z and from 0 to 9, and we have the star symbol after it. So we are going to match any substring that has 0 or more occurrences of any lowercase letter or number. So this is a valid match. This is also a valid match. So we can start to add any number or an lowercase letter that is going to be a valid match. Let's improve this example by adding something at the beginning of it. So imagine that we have AAA, 3 letter A's at the beginning, and this pattern. So this regular expression is going to match any substring that has AAA at the beginning, so AAA, and has 0 or more occurrences of any character present in this list. So this is a match because we have no occurrences of this. And we can, the quantifier tells us that we can have no occurrences of the character. And this is valid. But if we add like 0, this is going to be a match too, because we have 1 occurrence of this char set. So this is valid. And we can add any letter and any number in that char set that we are going to have a match. And last but not least, we have the question mark quantifier. It indicates 0 or 1 occurrence of the character before it. So an example would be A, B, and question mark. So this pattern will match a substring that starts with A and like as you can see, the B is optional. We can have a B, but we don't need to have a B to match, because again, the question mark indicates 0 or 1 occurrence of the character before it. Let's see a better example. Imagine that we have a chart set of all upper and lowercase letters, and we have another chart set specifying all the numbers, and we have a question mark quantifier after it. So any string that starts with a letter, it can be upper or lowercase, and is followed or not by a number, is going to match. So this is a match, this is a match, this is a match, and this is a match. Okay? To wrap this video up, let's see an example that uses all the quantifiers mentioned so far. This is going to be huge, so be prepared. We're gonna have a char set that specifies any lowercase letter and is followed by the plus quantifier that indicates one or more occurrences of the character before it. So one or more occurrences of any lowercase letter. And this pattern is followed by another char set that indicates a range from 0 to 9. After it, we have a quantifier that indicates the exact number of times that any number in this char set must appear. After this, we have A in uppercase form, followed by BC in lowercase form. Then we have another quantifier. This indicates the minimum and the maximum times that the C character may appear. After that, we have another char set that goes from A to D in uppercase letters. Then we have another quantifier that indicates the minimum times that any letter inside this char set may appear, but it don't specifies a limit to it. So we can have at least 2, and we don't put a limit to the number of times that a character inside this list may appear. Then we have the letter T, and this is followed by the star symbol quantifier, and this indicates that this T can appear 0 or more times. After it, we specify another char set that has the $sign and the hashtag symbol. And after it, we have the question mark quantifier that makes this char set optional. So we can have 0 or 1 occurrence of any characters inside this list. So let's see a substring that would match this pattern. But firstly, let's split this regular expression by using round braces so that it can be more easy for us to see what is happening. So the first part is this. The second part is going to be this. The third part is AB. The fourth part is going to be this. Right now, these round braces don't change the meaning. We are just using it to make easier for us to understand what is happening here. This is another part of our regular expression. We have 0 more occurrences of T, and finally we have this char set right here. So now let's finally see a string that will match this huge pattern. By analyzing the first part of the regular expression, we see that our substring has to have 1 or more occurrences of any lowercase letter. So we can have A, B, C, D. This is a valid start for our substring. The second pattern is this, and this pattern is telling us that our substring also has to have exactly 10 numbers. So we can add 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is 10 numbers. Exactly 10 occurrences of any character inside this list. Okay. The next pattern tells us that the substring has to have AB. So A in uppercase form and B in lowercase form. The next pattern tells us that we need to have at least 5 and maximum 7 occurrences of the letter C. So at least 5, okay, 3, 4, 5, and maximum 7. So let's stay with the middle, 6 occurrences of the letter C. The next pattern tells us that we can have at least 2, and we have no limit for the occurrences of the characters inside this list. So let's add all the characters in this list, A, B, C, D, in uppercase letters. Right now, as you can see, we already have a match, despite of not analyzing the rest of the regular expression. And that is because the last two patterns, let's analyze the last two patterns to see why we already have a match. This pattern right here indicates 0 or more occurrences of the letter T. So imagine that we have 0 occurrences as we have here. And the last one indicates 0 or 1 occurrence of any character in this char set. And we can have 0 in both of these patterns. So that's why we already have a match. We could have many occurrences of T, and we could have one of the characters in this char set. So this is a match. So that's it for today's video, guys. I encourage you to play around with the quantifiers as we did in this last example, because it's really important to practice, okay? So I encourage you to do that. In the next video, we are going to talk about some special chars that we have in REGEX. So see you there.